Hey y'all, welcome to episode 22 of Naked Talk with unprocessedJESS. We are going to continue talking about periods, perimenopause, and all of those fun things. And I have Jenna Longoria with Healthier Notions, and she is the period guru. So I'm excited to have her on here, and I have a lot of questions for her myself as well. And I wanted to mention real quick, I have an event coming up at the end of the month. It's April 28th from 2 to 5, and it's called Voices in Motion. You've probably heard me say that a lot of my passion is to empower people and inspire them to use their voice, because it is such a powerful tool. And for so long, I just felt isolated by a lot of things I was going through. And I want to let other people know it's okay to talk about things that you might be struggling with, and that's why I started this podcast. So it's very important to me. I'm teaming up with Anna, who's also from Houston. You can find her on Instagram at Anna Yoga Muscle, and we're going to be having a Who Are You series, and it's not who are you as a wife or girlfriend, fiance, mother, daughter, but who are you, and discovering and really embracing that for who you are. And then we'll break up into sessions, and then Anna will lead a stretch and yoga session. So I'm really excited about it. If you want more information, you can go to Eventbrite and search for Voices in Motion, and it should pop up, or you can always email me at naked@unprocessedjess.com or on my Facebook or Instagram page, and I hope to see you there if you're in the Houston area. So today we're going to talk to Jenna Longoria. Like I said, I'm very excited to have her here because I'm 42. I was just telling her earlier, I think I'm in perimenopause. I don't really know what that looks like. And I've had misconceptions about periods and ovulation and all the stuff that surrounds that. So I'm really excited to have her here. Welcome to Naked Talk.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, you're welcome. So share a little bit about, how did you get into all of this? I know you just came from a yoga class earlier today. I love yoga, and I share how all areas of our life are interconnected and they affect the other. And so I'm curious as to was there one thing that led you to going down this path?
I think, to make a long story short, that's because it's to make it brief, having more body awareness to yoga really helped, because I feel like yoga and any type of, physical activity can make you more body aware. Yes. I think you'd agree with that, right? And what's going on. I just had so many complications with my period. I have something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS. And so it was always a struggle. And that comes with a whole other host, PCOS, because it's a syndrome. So it's like an umbrella with all these little, side effects. So when I found out that that's what it was, that I actually had PCOS, it was such a relief because I could start doing something about it. And I did. So I like to say, now it's been over 3 years. I'm 100% symptom free. You can never cure polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis, but you can put them into remission. So I think it was that process kind of, it wasn't my background. Originally I was into politics. I was associate producer for a political radio show, but I was just, having the worst periods. My health was horrible. I wasn't taking care of my body and honoring my body. So I signed up for a yoga class and started going every day to kind of combat the stress of living in DC. And then one day I was like, why am I doing this? Why, not the yoga, but the politics. Yeah. And so I just, I quit. I put in my 2 weeks notice and I left, and I did a yoga teacher training, and I traveled a little bit, and I, studied Ayurveda, and then I went to nutrition school, and then just honed in on women's health and hormones.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a lot of times, I know for me, I was telling someone just last week, I didn't plan on talking about sex and orgasms and poop and periods, but here I am. And it's just, life takes you a different way. And I think a lot of times we have one thing, we're set out for one thing, and something I talk about, and I will talk about in future episodes, is even just sex alone, right? It's so goal-oriented a lot of times. And, you're wanting this, and then you have to step back and say, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it where I'm supposed to be? And then what am I sacrificing to get X, Y, and Z? And I'm hopeful that as more people share their voices and their stories and just the idea of holistic health, I think there's a lot of misconception about that as well. But I say for me, holistic means all areas of your life are interconnected and they affect the other. So like you're obviously passionate about politics and you were doing that and going places, but then this other area wasn't being addressed and eventually they catch up to you. So I love that. I love when people can find something and take their story and really go with it. It's so impactful. So I heard about, you got my attention from a friend online, and you were having, when I saw Period Guru, and I'm really wanting to just learn more about all of that. What do you see would be the most common misconception, I guess, or the struggle that you hear the most about?
Oh, well, number one is that fertility is only important if you want to get pregnant.
Yes.
That is so far from the case. Fertility is something we always want. We always want to be fertile because being fertile is a sign of health. So, when I use the word fertility, I have to be really careful because I feel that and it will get misconstrued as, oh, well, that's not for me because I don't want to have babies right now or ever, which is not the case. We want to have a healthy period. And where the period comes into play is the period is actually our fifth vital sign. The American Association of Gynecologists deemed it fifth vital sign for women. So that's pretty important, like blood pressure, respiratory rate. That'd be like ignoring those. So if you're ignoring your period, you're ignoring this crucial vital sign. So what happened when I first started health coaching about 7 years ago, I was just in the weight loss game. So I was doing the weight loss because that's what drew people in, and people all want to lose weight. And what I was finding and what I learned quite quick was that it was all so much more like from the holistic point. It was like emotional baggage, or it was hormones, a lot of hormones, and maybe both tied together. And so I started asking women about their periods and what was going on with their menstrual cycle. And I was learning so much about how to help them from just asking about their menstrual cycle. And so I definitely believe that it is the fifth vital sign. It's been very important for me, for my health, and also for helping the health of my clients as well.
Yeah, and that's something, in Naked Talk for this podcast, one of the things that were the reasons I started this was hearing from health coaching clients, and I kept seeing this theme of, lack of sleep or lack of sex, but then it wasn't just like you're saying, it may not be just the sex. It's what's behind it. It's body confidence. Okay, well, let's dig deeper. Things that they're not talking about. Okay, their bowel movements and their poop. Just asking something. Oh, they'd say, oh, you mean I should be pooping every day?
Yeah.
It's just,
imagine that.
It's
yeah.
like kind of with, I think you with the periods, then it's just bringing that to our awareness that our body is one.
Yeah.
If something's off, these things are okay to talk about, but it's our body telling us something's off.
And sharing this information. So having a platform like this, because if you don't poop every day, you think that's normal.
Yes.
Unless you learned it otherwise. If your period is 9 days long and you're going through a million tampons, then you might think that's normal, and that might have been the same case for your mother because, genetics.
Yes.
So you think that's normal, but if you hear about it on a podcast, oh, that's actually a heavy bleed and there's some health consequences with that, and that's a sign of estrogen dominance, then, so it's really important to have podcasts such as this to shed light on the topics that not everyone wants to discuss or feels comfortable discussing.
Yeah, I agree. And then I was speaking to someone earlier about talking about periods to your children, and she was just saying, open up that dialogue, be the ones to start that. But that when you're saying that kind of reminds me back to when I was a child. You just think periods are painful. It should hurt, right? You should have cramps. Like you just have this kind of, and I had the vagina coach on, and she was saying too about childbirth. You just see, oh, it should be one kind of way. And then you just start forming all these things in your mind, and that may not be how it has to be. So now you're not reaching out and saying, wait a minute, is this quote unquote normal?
And that is the biggest myth, that periods are painful. So just because something has been normalized doesn't mean it's normal.
Yes.
And, I feel like, your mom says, okay, well, that's part of, just being a woman. You're going to have some cramps and you use a hot water bottle and you take the first day off of work or school. And most likely like endometriosis, for instance, is a type of like period pain. A lot of women have period pain, but for women with endometriosis, it can be so bad, debilitating, where they can't move, they can't walk, they're very sick. If your mother had endometriosis, you're most likely you have a high, tendency, you have a high rate of getting it. So your reality for your mother, if you're like, my periods are so painful, she'll be like, well, that, they were for me too, and that's how it is.
Yes.
So you don't know. That's why so many women go misdiagnosed with endometriosis. But the thing is, period pain is not normal. It has been normalized. It is period pain is a sign, because our period is our fifth vital sign, that there is something wrong. So if we have pain anywhere else in the body that's chronic, or like in our shoulder or elbow or wherever, and we're going to the doctor's going to take an x-ray or, investigate further. So why isn't it like that for period pain in our uterus? Like, oh, well, that's just normal, that stabbing pain where you can't move and you can't walk. Like, why not investigate?
Yeah.
Like, what is causing that? Because, most likely a little tweak in the diet, lifestyle can fix that. And, your body can't talk to you and say, hey, you need to slow down, or, eat more broccoli. It only communicates through pain. That's all it has.
Yeah, and that brings up a point of when you said about pain, when we're doing things to manage our symptom or stop us from feeling the pain, then at some point, wouldn't you think it's kind of getting in the way of our body to communicate again? So I think a lot of times we think, oh, the answer is manage the symptom, manage it, and cover up the pain, which in some cases, yes, you might need to do that. But then on the flip side of that, it's I guess it's like inhibiting our body from giving us that pain.
Definitely. And also creating a host of other problems.
Yes.
Because, so for women with endometriosis, they can take Advil and it's like doesn't do anything. And so to clarify about what is a normal scope of pain for a period, if you wake up and you have some cramps and you need to take 2 Advil on the first day and that the pain goes away and you can go about your day, that is considered a normal scope of pain. Now, some women might not have any cramps, and that's awesome. Go them. Like to meet you. No, there are some. I've had some cycles like that. But if you have to take a few Advil, that's fine. But if you're taking Advil like every 2 or 3 hours for like day 1, 2, 3, I mean, not only is like that's like a hand grenade to your microbiome,
Yes.
and it's going to cause more inflammation and more problems in the long run. So yeah, I mean, and it's silencing it. You're just kind of numbing it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk a little bit about, I've seen you say as well, is ovulation, and that's something that, alluding to what you said earlier, people might be aware of when they're wanting to get pregnant, but you don't really think about, maybe unless you're not wanting to get pregnant, but you associate it with that. But I like how you bring to the attention that everything's focused on periods, but we don't we overlook the ovulation. So what do you mean by that?
Definitely. So ovulation is the rock star of the menstrual cycle. So we're all caught up with the period because the period's kind of hard to ignore. You need to use something, and you can't just, ignore your period, right? So you're going to have to actively go out and buy a menstrual cup or a tampon or something like that. But ovulation is really the most important aspect because by ovulating is how we make the hormone progesterone. And progesterone for women is so important to us. It's like testosterone to men. Progesterone is good for our bone health. If we don't have progesterone, then we lose bone mass, and it's heart protective. It protects us from breast cancer, and it is literally nature's chill pill. So it calms us down, which I know we all need more of, right? Especially in this world of unprecedented stress. So if you're not ovulating, then you're going to be progesterone deficient. And, that's going to lead to more stress and, anxiety and bone loss over a period of time. So we really, really want progesterone. And so if you're having a period, and to clarify, a period is different from a withdrawal bleed. If anyone who's on hormonal birth control experiences a withdrawal bleed, it's not a period, because on the hormonal birth control, you don't ovulate. It suppresses ovulation. So it actually puts us in an induced state of menopause with no ovulation. It cuts off the brain from the ovaries.
Yeah, see, and that's something you don't think about. I know you don't associate that. I use birth control, very small window of my life, maybe as an early, when I like maybe 20 to 21. Like it was a very short time, and I just was never on it. After that, it just affected me, and I didn't like the way it made me feel.
You were very lucky. Yeah, they were very lucky that you were on it for such a short period of time.
Well, and I'm wondering now that we're talking about things, my cycles have been really, it's just until recently, and I'm 42, that I've noticed, I'm feeling a little bloated now, and that might be, we can talk about that later, to do with perimenopause. But for people my friends that have been on birth control for a while, when they're coming off of it,
yes.
it's just they're having a lot of problems. So that's one of the reasons I wanted you on here too, is just bring awareness and give some type of starting point that what do they do for that?
Definitely. So that's the, post-birth control syndrome, coming off the birth control pill. And Dr. Jolene Brighten coined the term. Well, there's some debate about who coined it, but I always associate it with Dr. Jolene Brighten. And it is the host of the side effects from getting off a birth control pill. And that can be acne, that can be bloating, that can be hypothyroidism, that can be gut problems, it can be PMS, mood swings, it can be post-pill amenorrhea, where you don't have a period for a very long time. I was one of them. When I first got off the pill, I didn't have a period for 6 months. And this is an issue that really needs to be addressed, because I feel more and more women, which is great, are learning about the birth control pill and all the other forms, and they're making educated, more informed decisions. Some of them are like, okay, I'm going to stay on it because, I know how it works, but this is right for me right now. And others are like, oh my gosh, like I don't want that because I want to ovulate. I want my health to be, I want to have, optimum health and fertile health and make progesterone and be calm and zen and have glowing skin. And let's not talk about depression. It's a huge side effect. So they're getting off the birth control pill or the IUD or the NuvaRing, and then they're having these problems. I mean, when I got off of it, I had the worst acne, back knee. It was horrible. And I wish I knew what I knew now, and because it would have been a lot quicker. And that's one reason I designed my 20-day hormone reboot detox, is for women getting off of hormonal birth control.
Yes, and that's another thing that I love that I saw that you're doing, because we hear, and I've said this before, it's not that the information, if you try hard enough, it's out there somewhere, I'm sure, but it's so overwhelming. And then you get the information, you don't know what to do. We need to add that, just that community behind it, or someone to go to and say, okay, this happened. Like, is this normal? And if we're not even wanting to have that conversation, it's just a lot harder for you to get the help that you need and support.
Definitely.
So I love that you're offering that. And I love that when you said, as a holistic health coach too, I think there's so much that we can help with, right? There's so many people who need help, but when we really focus on a few areas, we can really make an impact and help those women. So I love that you're doing that program and you're giving them a place to go to for guidance and support. And I'm really excited about that, because like I said, I have friends who they have a lot of problems that they're having, and that can be isolating as well.
It is very isolating, and a lot of women, because the struggle, the post-birth control syndrome, symptoms are so, they're difficult and they can be demoralizing. So a lot of women go back because they're like, okay, I don't want my skin to break out. And interesting fact about the pill, one of the reasons why it controls acne is because it reduces sebum levels, which sebum is, we need it for, it keeps us looking young, by the way. So when you get off the birth control pill or IUD, your sebum levels come back, and that's what's causing the acne all of a sudden to come back. And you have a resurgence of androgen hormones, which causes acne. So you have to detox from the synthetic hormones. That's the only way about it. And it really doing a structured detox is the best way, so you don't have to suffer so long and just kind of get everything, support your liver. Our liver needs some love, especially after getting off hormonal birth control, and replenish the nutrient stores that the pill depletes.
Yeah, and that's what, going back to what you said earlier, when I first started blogging, gosh, it's been 8 years ago now, I discovered GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms. I was a newer mom at the time. I just freaked out, went and started making my own almond bread and threw out everything in the house. My stepsons wouldn't ever eat at the house. It was crazy. and went all one way, but now we have a good balance. But my point was, I want you to know, and then you make that decision.
Absolutely.
But
important.
Just before, I had a guest on in another episode. And that was more talking about sex with your kids, but like, innocence does not equal ignorance. Ignorance doesn't help. If you're informed, you can make a better decision. So that's my heart. Just get the information out there.
Yes.
You do what is best for your situation, but I want you to be armed with that.
And I don't feel like enough women get that.
No.
You go into the doctor and the paradigm has been, okay, well, you have acne, you have painful periods, your periods aren't regular. Well, here's a prescription for the birth control pill, and we're going to regulate your cycles. We're going to get rid of acne, instead of looking at the root cause. That's just treating a symptom. And I'd love to see, and this is happening, it's starting to happen. There's been so many books out on women's health this year about periods, about birth control. It's really empowering, where the doctor or practitioner is like, okay, well, here are your options.
Yes.
This is how they all work, and here are the pros and cons of all of them. And, go home and reflect and think about it and make the decision that's right for you. And if you want a prescription, you can, I can write you one.
Yes, and that's what I had Dr. Noel Boyd, who is in Kingwood, an area here in Houston, and she was my doctor before I moved. And I loved how she came on and she said, your doctor should be able to talk about anything and everything and listen to you. And if not, you might need to find a new physician. So
absolutely,
we're in no way saying don't have a physician, but have a good relationship with your physician and feel empowered to ask those questions, because this is our body.
Yes.
And we need to show them. I've had times in the past, not her, of course, but where someone has tried, a doctor has said, oh, take this. And then when I explain to them that I prefer to do natural when I can, then now they don't, that's not the first thing they tell us. So, we have to take some responsibility as well, that as in general, as a society, we're demanding to be given a quick fix.
Yes.
And so a lot of physicians are thinking, oh, well, I know that you want to have something right now. So I think we just need to let them know.
Yeah.
I want to know all my options. And start that conversation with your physician.
Definitely. And having body literacy, which is where I feel cycle charting is so important, because I feel that too many people take a back seat in their health. They go in the doctor, they're outsourcing their health basically, and no one can give us our health back. Only we can do that. We can be pointed in the right direction. But if you're cycle charting, and there are a lot of apps out there, I use Kendara app. There's, Clue. There are a lot of period tracking apps where you can, put in the first day of your menstrual cycle. You can take your temperature every day so you know when you ovulate. So that's a way you can keep track if you're like, oh, wow, my period was very off this month. What was going on? Or I didn't ovulate this month, or I ovulated way later, or, oh, my luteal phase was really short. That is like the first sign pointing to, a thyroid issue or, progesterone deficiency, or it's a great way. And you can bring that into your doctor.
Yes.
More science, because doctors like science-based evidence. They don't want to just hear, unfortunately, for them, like, oh, I've been in so much pain, If you can bring in more quantitative data, they can work with you better. So coming in with your charts and be like, look, this is not normal for me. Look at my period. Look what's been going on. And I've been experiencing these horrible, painful periods. What can we do? What are my options?
Yeah, and in your program, what are some of the things that you do? Is it are you taking them through as a group? Are you, just tell us a little bit about what you do in your program.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, well, the 20-day hormone reboot detox is a program that I'm so proud of, because I have seen it work for so many women. And I do it as a group twice a year. I really like having the group aspect, but I also offer it for women. On my website, you can go and you can buy it immediately, and you can start whenever. But you do get the live coaching calls, because in the group program, we have live coaching calls together on Zoom to make it more interactive. Yeah. And in the program, you're shipped all of your detox materials, because we're supporting the liver. So it's a nutritional plan. And we talk, one thing that I really like about it, it's not just saying, okay, you do this. You do, because I don't want to outsource your health. I want you to know why we're doing these things. Yes. And it's 20 days. So we have, everyone gets a 30-minute private consultation with me, because I don't do the program exactly the same with each woman, because we're all like snowflakes and we're all different. So maybe I'll take certain foods away from the plan or add in others. And, we meet, we talk about their main complaints. And then, everyone starts, and every day there's a daily, email with, we're learning about hormones. I'm teaching everyone about how their hormones work, what's going on, how can giving them the tools so they can keep their hormones balanced in the future. And we talk about cycle charting, we talk about fertility awareness method, we talk about other birth control methods. And then in the live coaching calls, it's really just for, it's different every time, I talk about certain things, but everyone has different questions and everyone has different experiences. And it's just a really great program. I'm so excited, because the next one is next Wednesday, and I only do this twice a year. So I get so excited before it starts. And I always do it with the group as well, because I like to, be in there with them. And so the next group is next Wednesday, and we still have 4 spots left. So.
Okay. And then, if you're listening to this after this, we're in April 2019, and it's April 10th. So it starts April 17th,
That's correct.
2019. Where can they go to find more information? Because I know is it today or tomorrow or Friday is the last day to register?
Thursday is the last day.
Okay.
Which is April, today is the 11th, right?
I think today's the 10th.
10th. Okay, so that's the 12th.
12th, okay.
April 12th. And you can go on my website at healthiernotions.com, and you'll see one of the items is 20-day hormone reboot.
Okay, yeah. And then let us know where we can find you for more information. I know I follow you on your Instagram page, and I've seen some things on Facebook as well. So where can we go to keep up with what you have going on?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram at Jenna Longoria Health, and I have a private Facebook group on Facebook. It's Health Coach Jenna Hormone Community.
Yes, so I'm in that, and that's one of the ways I first started connecting with you. And there really is some good information in there. And I've learned a lot already, but I have a long way to go. So I would love if you join us again.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because I think there's so much that we can, even just bringing it up to our attention, that we can learn from this. And we don't know always what we don't know, right? So
exactly.
I think you and I were just saying earlier about I'm 42 and I think I'm in perimenopause. I'm not sure. So I would love for you to come back on and share about that and just how to navigate that.
Oh, definitely, because there's a lot of misinformation and when is menopause and when is perimenopause and am I in perimenopause? And I know there's so much confusion around it. So
and what does it look like? What does that mean? What's going to be coming out of there? Is it, what's normal, what isn't? So it's kind of like going back to, as we were saying earlier in another episode, being a child and starting your period. You don't really know what to expect. So well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jenna. And I look forward to learning more in your Facebook group and then having you on again.
I would love it. We'll talk perimenopause. We'll talk all the taboo subjects. I love it.
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you. And I will be back for episode 23 of Naked Talk. And we have the Well-Balanced Woman. And we're going to be talking more about perimenopause and prolapse in there too. So try to live life a little less processed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.